What up, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. You can follow me at DMac_LA. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. For all the latest Dodgers news and rumors, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, and I want all your takes right down below in the comments section. I want all your takes on today's topic right down below in the comments section. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. What up, Dodgers Nation? Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Today we're going to talk about Dave Roberts, the much-maligned manager of your Los Angeles Dodgers. Is Dave Roberts vindicated now that the Dodgers have won their first World Series title in 32 years? I'm going to give you some of his best moves that he made during the Dodgers' 2020 postseason run. Now, before we get into today's countdown, be sure to head over to DodgersNation.com and check out the accompanying article written by Tim Rogers at SD Dodger, one of the senior writers at DodgersNation.com, the prospect guru himself. Be sure to head over to Twitter and give him a follow at SD Dodger. You're not doing this Dodger fandom thing right unless you're following Tim Rogers. Now, when it comes to Dave Roberts and Dodger fans, it's pretty much the standard fan-manager relationship in Major League Baseball. When the Dodgers win, you don't hear too much about him. When they lose, his hashtag Fire Dave Roberts starts trending virtually immediately. Now, this postseason, I thought he pressed a lot of the right buttons. I thought Dave Roberts really managed very well throughout this postseason. Wasn't a perfect managerial job by Dave Roberts, but he did very well and well enough to get the Dodgers their first World Series title in 32 years. Now, looking at his first 5 years as Dodgers manager, he's accomplished quite a bit. His first 5 years, he has a record of .436 and .273, a .615 win percentage, 3 NL pennants, and 1 World Series title. He won Manager of the Year in 2016, finished second in 2017, sixth in 2018, fourth in 2019, and fifth in 2020. He's got a 38-27 record in the postseason, an 8-10 record in the World Series, and he's got the most postseason wins for any manager in Dodgers history. So whether you're a Fire Dave Roberts guy or a Doc defender, the reality is that he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory for his managerial career. If he keeps this up for over a decade, he could find himself in Cooperstown. And yes, he's had his share of brain farts as the Dodgers manager. Of course, we'll never forget him pulling Rich Hill in 2017 and 2018, and then the 2019 NLDS using Clayton Kershaw out of the bullpen. Of course, you saw what happened with Rendon and Juan Soto. Now, I've been a pretty staunch Dave Roberts defender at times, and I've also criticized him very heavily. Just look at the post-game shows after Game 5 of the NLDS last year and Game 4 of the World Series this year. I brought it pretty hard against Dave Roberts at times, but I think with him at the helm, the pros outweigh the cons. I think he's done a great job of building a winning culture here in Los Angeles. The buy-in factor from his players is right where you want it to be, and I think that his ability to relate to players, to get his guys to go all in and run through a wall for him is really what he does best. I think some of his managerial miscues he's going to learn throughout the years. You saw some significant growth this postseason, and if he shores up that part of his game, you're going to see a manager that still hasn't peaked yet. I think that Dave Roberts is just like a player. He's very inexperienced as a manager when he started with the Dodgers, and he's only going to grow. So I think managers are just like players. They peak at certain times in their career, and I do believe that now that he's won that World Series title and some of that pressure has been lifted off Dave Roberts and his franchise, that 18-wheeler filled with pianos is off his back. That's going to allow him to grow as a manager, and his best managerial days are in front of him. Look, he could have already won 2 World Series titles at this point. At this point of his career, he could have already won 2 World Series titles in 5 years. He could have already matched Tommy Lasorda's World Series championships. Now, if we're going to say the Astros cheated in 2017 and that if they didn't cheat, the Dodgers would have won the World Series, because if you say the Dodgers would have won the World Series that year, you also have to say that Dave Roberts would have won a World Series in his second year as the Dodgers skipper. So, look, is he the best manager in Major League Baseball? No. But is he a great fit for this current Dodger team, and can he win multiple World Series titles with this core? I think the answer is yes. But the bottom line with Dave Roberts is that he ended the drought. He was the manager that helped lead the Dodgers to their first World Series title in 32 years. He made this guy's dream come true to see the Dodgers win the World Series. I know I've been harsh on Dave Roberts in the past at times, but I want to apologize. You got it done. Dave Roberts, I just want to say I'm sorry.
I made mistakes. I want to take them back.
Now, coming in at number 8 for the best moves of the postseason by Dave Roberts is his use of Alex Wood. Woody had a friend in me in the 2020 postseason, went 6 2/3 innings, had a 1.35 ERA, and he was big there in the clincher. In the clincher, he went 2 scoreless innings, had 3 punch-outs. He looked dominant, and he helped that Dodger bullpen. They had 16 strikeouts there in the clinching game. They actually broke Sandy Koufax's strikeout record in a 9-inning World Series game. Of course, the Dodgers used 6 relievers in that game. Sandy Koufax, the left arm of God, did it all by himself. But it was a big game by the relievers in Game 6 in the clincher, and Alex Wood was a big part of it. And then coming in at number 7, another bullpen move by Dave Roberts. This time, the same game. Game 6 of the World Series, he goes to Dylan Floro to face Randy Arozarena, the hottest hitter in baseball, not named Corey Seager, and he punches him out in 3 pitches. The Floro was his in a big spot, and he delivered. He gets the big punch out, and it gave the Dodgers the momentum, and then also he had a short leash on Tony Gonsolin. He didn't let Tony Gonsolin stay in the game and give up more runs. He had the quick leash, did the quick pull, goes to Floro, gets the punch out, and then the ball started rolling for that Dodger bullpen. Will go on to have 16 punch outs on the night in the clinching Game 6. So Game 6, a big move to go with Floro there by Dave Roberts. And then at number 6, sticking with Max Muncy in the cleanup spot. Max Muncy, he struggled in the regular season. He hit 197, was not getting the calls, was dealing with injuries throughout the regular season. He sticks with him in that cleanup spot, and it paid dividends. He got off to a slow start, but he came around the NLCS, started to see those power numbers increase, and you see those RBI numbers. He had 14 RBIs in the 2020 postseason. That was second to only Corey Seager, who had 20. He finished with 20 walks, which led the team. He had that big home run there in Game 5 when they need an insurance run for Clayton Kershaw. He gets that big home run off glass now. And how about the big walk in Game 5 to get it to Will Smith, who will go on to hit that big 3-run home run. So he really had a big postseason, kind of under the radar for the Dodgers. But I think sticking with him and just seeing a more consistent lineup, I think that was something that a lot of Dodger fans like to see. All the platooning got so frustrating when you got guys like Cody Bellinger not playing in the lineup every day with all that platooning they were doing in previous postseasons. There was more consistency in this postseason. So Dave Roberts sticking with his guy, Max Muncy, trusting him in that 4-hole, trusting that he ultimately would come around and start to deliver. I think it was big, and I think it's one of the reasons why the Dodgers won the World Series. And then coming in at number 5 is how he used pinch hitters this postseason, particularly Jock Peterson and Kike Hernandez. Jock Peterson and Kike Hernandez, they won a combined 4 for 11, hit 363, 4 big RBIs, and one of the most memorable Dodger pinch hit home runs of all time.
0-2 pitch. Hernandez hits it in the air to left. Back at the wall. It is gone. The game is tied.
And then coming in at number 4 was how he managed Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw had an outstanding postseason, a virtuoso performance there in the wild card series, set a career high with 13 punch-outs. But in total, he goes 4-1 with a 2.93 ERA, pitched 30 2/3 innings, had a .91 WHIP, 37 strikeouts, and most importantly, he goes 2-0 in the Fall Classic. And I think that he was managed very well in the Fall Classic. I think Dave Roberts had a great sense of when to take out Clayton Kershaw. You saw there in that Game 5. He sends him out there to pitch the 6th inning. He gets a Arozarena to ground out. He gets Lowe to pop out. And instead of leaving him out there, you could have left him out there to get that final out. He stuck to his plan, goes out there, brings in May to face Margot. May strikes out Margot, and then Clayton Kershaw gets the win. In the World Series, Kershaw went 11 2/3 innings, had a 2.31 ERA, 14 strikeouts to just 3 walks, and he only gave up 1 home run. I think that was the big thing, and you didn't see that overuse of Clayton Kershaw. You didn't see him come out of the bullpen. You didn't see him go out there in the 7th, in the 8th, when he didn't have it anymore. I think that they set him up to have that success. They didn't send him out there to die, right? They didn't leave him in there to suffer like we've seen in so many postseasons in the past. You took him out when he was done. You left him in there when he was having success. And I think Dave Roberts at this point has a great feel for what to do when it comes to Clayton Kershaw. And I think that Dave Roberts is one of the big reasons why King Kersh finally got that crown. And then now for the top three. Coming in at number 3 was the flexibility in closing games. Dave Roberts went to 5 different pitchers to get saves this postseason. 5 different pitchers recorded a save. You had Brusdar Graterol, Kenley Jansen, Julio Urías, Blake Trinan, and Joe Kelly. 5 different Dodger pitchers all played a big part in getting those final 3 outs. Of course, Kenley Jansen had the blown save there in Game 4, but he quickly adjusts. Right the next game, he goes to Blake Trinan. Blake Trinan gets the big save, and then you saw what he did with Julio Urías, who ended up getting 1 save. Brusdar Graterol had a big save, and then Joe Kelly, Game 2 of the NLDS, he comes in relief of Kenley Jansen. He walks Fernando Tatis, walks Machado, so he get Hosmer to ground out with the bases loaded. So the Dodgers, they got those big final 3 outs from 5 different pitchers, and we've seen times where Dave Roberts is loyal to a fault, where he stubbornly sticks with Kenley Jansen. We didn't see that this time around. We've always wanted closer by committee, and this postseason, we got it. And then coming in at number 2 is Austin Barnes. If anyone can relate to Dave Roberts, it's Austin Barnes, a player that's gotten so much criticism throughout the years. Well, Austin Barnes was a big part of this Dodgers title. He had 320 in the postseason, /320, 393, 440, OPS 833, had the home run in Game 3 of the World Series, and it's what he did behind the dish as a game caller. The way he managed the pitching staff, the way he managed Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler. I think that he took Walker Buehler's game to a whole nother level, and then we also saw how the Dodgers fared when he wasn't in the game. Most notably, Game 4 of the World Series, because not only does Will Smith drop that throw from Max Muncy where he could have tagged out a Rosarena at the plate, he didn't call the best game. You saw that sequence there with Pedro Baez, where Pedro Baez should have gone with the changeup, goes with the fastball, leads to a home run. So you saw what Austin Barnes does as a game caller. And then how about Barnesy with the bat? Gets one of the biggest hits in the postseason, and that was the single off Blake Snell that forced Kevin Cash to take him out of the game, totally swung the momentum, and it led to the Dodgers winning that game and winning the World Series. But on that play, he pretty much wrecked the entire Rays franchise there with that single. Also had the big home run there in Game 3. And most importantly, the Dodgers were 4-0 in games where Austin Barnes started at catcher. 4-0, undefeated in the World Series this year with Austin Barnes at catcher. So not only did the Dodgers World Series drought end this year, so did the Austin Barnes slander. Rest in peace, Austin Barnes slander, because this guy's a World Series champion. Barnesy was big time in October, and Dave Roberts going with Austin Barnes was one of the bigger moves in this postseason run. And then coming in at number 1, I've got to go with Dave Roberts' use of Julio Urías throughout the 2020 postseason. He was massive all postseason long. The big time moments, the clutch high leverage situations, Julio Urías got it done. Just look at how he did in the clincher. Game 3 of the NLDS, comes in for a struggling Dustin May. He goes 5 scoreless, and he gets the Dodgers to the NLCS. You saw what he did there in Game 7 of the NLCS, gives you 3 scoreless innings, and then the clincher goes 2 1/3 and wins the Dodgers their first World Series title in 32 years. For the World Series run, he goes 3-0, 13 1/3 innings pitched. Opponents were hitting 89 against Julio Urías, a .44 whip, a 0 ERA, had that 1 unearned run there in the NLDS. But Julio Urías, he was an absolute dog. He was a beast throughout the entire postseason. Urías was the Urías, and I think that Dave Roberts trusting him to keep him out there for extended relief was one of the biggest reasons why the Dodgers ultimately got it done. To me, that was the biggest button that Dave Roberts pushed all postseason long, was how he used Julio Urías in those clutch high leverage situations to close out series. But let me know down below in the comments, what do you think was Dave Roberts' best move during this postseason run? Give me your list down below in the comments. But thanks again, guys, and for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com.
This is our year. We said it. This is our year.